This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, we begin with a sudden shift in the Middle East as the U.S. hits pause on its air campaign. President Trump ordered a 5-day halt on strikes, citing constructive talks. Tehran dismissed the move as market manipulation. While Tehran remains skeptical, European leaders are backing the pause. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcome reprieve, but hope it can prevent a wider regional collapse. Beyond the conflict, Hungary's prime minister is pushing a shake-up in Europe. Viktor Orban vowed to challenge the Brussels elite ahead of April's election. He says Hungary will lead reforms from within the EU. From politics to tragedy in South America, a military transport plane with 125 people crashed in Putumayo. At least 34 people were killed, with dozens injured as rescuers searched the site. Back home, evacuations are ramping up for Filipinos in the Middle East. Hundreds have been moved out of high-risk areas. Manila remains on alert as thousands stay in the region. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte's legal team is targeting a key witness. Lawyers claim Ramil Madriaga lied under oath. The camp insists the case is built on fabricated claims. And finally, a strange world record is drawing global attention. An Australian man went viral after stuffing multiple balloons up his nose. The stunt offers a light moment amid heavy headlines. I'm Prince Tripoli. Newsline World starts now. For our first story, President Trump has issued a surprise 5-day stay on U.S. military strikes against Iranian infrastructure, claiming constructive negotiations are underway, a narrative immediately rejected by Tehran as a manipulation of global markets. Jane Kudnita has the details.
In a dramatic shift just hours before his 48-hour ultimatum was set to expire, President Donald Trump announced via Truth Social that the U.S. and Iran have engaged in very productive conversations over the last 2 days. Citing a desire for a total resolution of hostilities, the president instructed the Department of War to postpone all strikes against Iranian power plants for a 5-day period. The announcement sent a temporary wave of relief through global energy markets, which have been bracing for a total regional blackout and a permanent closure of the Strait of Hormuz. However, the diplomatic breakthrough was almost immediately contradicted by Tehran. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Speaker of the Iranian parliament, took to social media to categorically deny that any negotiations have taken place. Ghalibaf labeled the president's claims as fake news, designed to stabilize oil prices and allow the U.S. and Israel to escape what he called a quagmire. The speaker reinforced that the Iranian people and their leadership remain committed to the remorseful punishment of the aggressors, signaling that the internal rift between Washington's optimism and Tehran's defiance is widening. With a 5-day clock now ticking, the reality on the ground remains volatile. While U.S. bombers remain on standby, Iran's refusal to acknowledge the talk suggests that the major jihad threatened by the military command earlier this week has not been called off. As the world watches the pipes of the global energy supply, the next 120 hours will determine if this is a genuine de-escalation or merely a tactical pause in a war of nerves. This has been Jane Kudnita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
European leaders have welcomed President Trump's 5-day reprieve on Iranian power plants, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer both voicing support for reported, though contested, diplomatic contacts. More of this from Faith Agustin.
In Berlin, Chancellor Friedrich Merz confirmed he held a high-level call with President Trump over the weekend to express deep concern regarding the threatened obliteration of Iran's energy infrastructure. Merz welcomed the 5-day postponement of strikes, offering Germany's good contacts in the Middle East to facilitate a ceasefire. While Trump claims a deal is possible, Merz noted that any resolution remains difficult without the consent of Israel, whose forces continue to strike Iranian assets in the region.
Ich habe ihm meine Bedenken im Hinblick auf die angekündigten Angriffe auf die Kraftwerke im Iran vorgetragen. Ich bin dankbar, dass er heute gesagt hat, dass er das noch einmal um 5 Tage verschiebt und jetzt auch die Möglichkeit für unmittelbare und direkte Kontakte mit der iranischen Führung eröffnet. Ich habe ihm angeboten, dass wir in jeder Hinsicht dabei behilflich sind.
In London, Prime Minister Keir Starmer faced the Commons Liaison Committee, where he broke ranks to claim the UK was aware of the reported talks between Washington and Tehran. This contradicts the Iranian Foreign Ministry, which has dismissed the president's claims of a pending deal as fake news. Starmer announced he would chair a Cobra meeting on the war's economic impact, warning that the UK must plan for a long-term disruption to energy markets, even as President Trump pushes for a conclusion in days and weeks.
And I welcome the talks reported between the US and Iran. And to be clear with the committee, we, the UK, were aware that was happening, and the immediate priority has to be a swift resolution of the conflict and delivering a negotiated agreement which puts tough conditions on Iran, particularly in relation to nuclear weapons.
The unified European stance appears to be an effort to mend ties with the White House after Trump previously condemned NATO allies for failing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. With Brent crude hovering over $100 and a horrific anti-Semitic attack in London's Golders Green heightening domestic tensions, the pressure on NATO to stabilize the region has never been higher. As the 5-day clock ticks down, the uncertainty described by Merz remains the only constant in a conflict that has already redefined the transatlantic alliance. This has been Faith Agustin, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Motorists in Dhaka are facing hours-long queues at filling stations as the ongoing U.S.-Israeli war on Iranian triggers fears of a total energy collapse in South Asia. This report from Paul Montibon.
The first ripple effects of the Middle East conflict have reached the streets of Dhaka, where long lines of vehicles now stretched for kilometers. With Brent crude stabilized at over $100 per barrel and the Strait of Hormuz largely impassable, Bangladesh is facing a severe oil crisis that threatens to paralyze the nation's transport sector. Drone footage captured Monday shows the scale of the desperation, with some pumps already forced to close their gates. The Bangladesh Petrol Pump Owners Association has warned that without immediate government intervention, many stations will right-run by the end of the week.
একটা সাম্প্রতিক সময়ে যেহেতু একটা যুদ্ধ শুরু হয়েছে, সেই যুদ্ধের পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে দেখেন যে আমাদের দেশে সেই যুদ্ধের আবহাওয়াটা প্রভাবটা পড়ছে আর কি, যার কারণে প্রথম প্রভাব আমরা লক্ষ্য করতেছি যে আমাদের তেল সংকট। তেল সংকট হওয়া মানে তো এটা অর্থনীতির জন্য একটা বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ, কারণ হচ্ছে তেল সংকট হওয়া মানে এই যে গাড়ি ঘোড়া সব বন্ধ হয়ে যায়।
Beyond the supply shortage, authorities are struggling to manage an artificial crisis driven by hoarding. Local residents are calling on the government to fast-track the unloading of imported oil currently stuck in international shipping lanes. The unrest has led to reports of fuel seizures, prompting the Owners Association to request bolstered security at stations as the conflict in the Gulf shows no signs of de-escalation. The fear in Dhaka is that the temporary blip described by Western leaders may become a permanent economic disaster for developing nations.
বিভিন্ন মিডিয়া যে তেল বিদেশ থেকে আনতেছে, এগুলি দ্রুত খালাস করে রিফাইনে পাঠিয়ে তেলের বাজারটা স্বাভাবিক করা, এইটাই একটা বড় ব্যাপার, বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ। বাজারটা ধরে রাখা এবং কৃত্রিম সংকট যাতে তৈরি না হয়। পাশাপাশি যে ব্যাপারটা হলো অনেকে মজুত করে, এই মজুতটা যাতে না করতে পারে, এই ব্যাপারটার দিকে খেয়াল রাখা উচিত। ব্যর্থ বাংলা এবং মালিক সমিতি, প্রশাসন সবারই খেয়াল রাখা উচিত।
with 20% of global oil traffic held hostage by the closure of the strait. Countries like Bangladesh, which rely heavily on energy imports, are finding themselves on the unintended front lines of the war between Washington and Tehran. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNA News.
China's aviation sector is gaining momentum as the W5000 cargo unmanned aerial vehicle secures 530 pre-orders, signaling strong confidence in the country's growing low-altitude economy. The W5000 cargo UAV is designed to support logistics and transport operations, particularly in hard-to-reach areas where traditional delivery methods can be challenging. Industry observers say the surge in orders reflects increasing demand for unmanned cargo solutions as businesses look for faster and more efficient ways to move goods. China has been actively promoting its low-altitude economy, encouraging innovation in drone technology and expanding applications in sectors such as logistics, agriculture, and emergency response. This strong market response to the W5000 highlights the country's push to become a global leader in unmanned aviation and next-generation transport systems. As investment and demand continue to grow, experts believe cargo drones like the W5000 could play a key role in shaping the future of logistics, both in China and beyond. Up next, Hungary's Prime Minister is pushing a shake-up in Europe. Viktor Orban vowed to challenge the Brussels elite ahead of April's election. He says Hungary will lead reforms from within the EU. And tragedy in South America. A military transport plane with 125 people crashed in Putumayo. At least 34 were killed, with dozens injured as rescuers search the site. More news when Newsline World returns.
Derechahan! Walang paligoy-ligoy.
Kasi nga ang mga tao gusto na pagbabago, hindi lang reforma. Yung may mananagot.
Abangan mamayang gabi sa SMNI.
If they continue to do that, edi mas pinapakita lang nila na ganun talaga sila.
Ang maiinit na talakayan.
Kung sino pa yung may lakas ng loob manindigan at tumayo para sa kanyang bayan, di ba? Anong ginawa? Si Kong Kiko.
Walang uurungan. Makakasama nila Attorney Rowena Guanzon at Miss Cathy Binag, si Cavite 4th District Representative Kiko Barzaga upang himayin ang mga napapanahong issue at kontrobersyal na kinakaharap ng bansa. Walang iiwasan.
Kaya gusto ko talaga zero corruption talaga. Zero corruption, zero tolerance talaga.
Walang paligoy-ligoy. Sa totoo lang, ang usapang derechahan para sa bawat Pilipino. Mamayang gabi, pagkatapos ng SMNI News Blast. Meow! 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 Meow!
And we're back. A Colombian Air Force transport plane carrying 125 people has crashed in the southern province in Putumayo, with the death toll now at 34, more than 80 injured and 14 others fighting for their lives. Almar Forsuelo reports.
The Colombian Air Force's C-130 Hercules went down shortly after takeoff from Puerto Leguizamo Monday morning, crashing approximately 1.5 kilometers from the aerodrome in an area known as Brisas del Cauca, coming down just meters from residential homes. Of the 125 on board, 112 were Army soldiers, 2 were police officers, and 11 were Air Force crew members. Colombian Aerospace Force Commander Carlos Fernando Silva Rueda confirmed the crash at a press conference in Bogotá.
Lamentablemente tuvimos un accidente aéreo a las 9:50 en Puerto Leguízamo, Putumayo. Fue un Hércules C-130 de la Fuerza Aeroespacial Colombiana, matrícula 1016. Estaba cubriendo la ruta Puerto Leguízamo-Puerto Asís, transportando un personal de soldados de nuestro Ejército Nacional. En este momento sabemos que hay 48 heridos que ya han sido rescatados. Es una cifra preliminar. Y todos ellos están en centros asistenciales de Puerto Leguízamo.
The first rescuers on the scene were not soldiers or firefighters. They were local farmers and indigenous community members who rushed to the wreckage to pull out survivors and ferry them to the Maria Angelines Hospital.
Nosotros nos encontrábamos cada quien pues haciendo sus cosas, ¿no? Pues su trabajo. Bueno, unos estaban pues en sus casas todavía. Pues la guardia pues apenas escuchó el estruendo, la explosión. De una pues nos alertamos y nos preparamos para venir acá a apoyar en lo que más se pudiera.
The fire department commander described the scene at the crash site.
Bueno, sabemos que el avión cayó exactamente en unas parcelas que se le llama el sitio Brisas del Caucayá, donde realmente cayó a escasos metros de una vivienda, prácticamente al medio de 2 viviendas.
Forensic investigators are now combing through wreckage scattered across a wide rural area as authorities work to determine the cause. Officials say the aircraft was in airworthy condition and the crew properly certified at the time of the flight. A King Air aircraft and UH-60 helicopter carrying medicines have been deployed to the site alongside evacuation planes equipped with stretchers. President Gustavo Petro attributed the accident to bureaucratic failures in military administration, saying delays in equipment renewal have left the armed forces operating aging aircraft. Reporter for Newsline World, Almar Forsualo, SMNI News.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is promising to reshape the European Union from within, rallying supporters ahead of April's election with a pledge to unseat what he calls the failing Brussels elite. Carla Abiliana has the details.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban made no attempt to soften his ambitions, declaring that he and his conservative allies intend to seize the direction of the entire bloc. Orban said, quote, "We speak only about the fact that we want to take over the leadership of the European Union. We want to occupy it and transform the Brussels center." Orban painted a picture of a Europe already tilting his way, pointing to conservative governments in Italy, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic as proof that the tide is turning against the Brussels establishment. He predicted that by the end of the decade, national and conservative forces would dominate the continent. On Ukraine, Orban was blunt on 2 fronts. He accused Kiev of placing Hungary under an oil blockade through the Druzhba pipeline dispute and flatly rejected the EU's push to fast-track Ukraine's membership. He also warned that the financial cost of Ukrainian membership would be ruinous, citing a €100 billion loan package he said was dragging member states into a debt spiral at a time when the EU cannot fund its own needs. Orban also accused Brussels of deploying a network of NGOs to censor the internet, framing both the EU and Ukraine as forces working against Hungarian interests ahead of the vote.
Brüsszel az internetet cenzúrázó NGO hálózatot vetette be, Kijev pedig olajblokkád alá vonta a magyarokat, most pedig már láthatják, az ukrán propagandagépezet is gőzerővel dolgozik. Ennek ellenére április 12-én megnyerjük a választásokat Magyarországon.
The April 12th vote will be Hungary's most competitive in years. Orban is seeking a 5th consecutive term, facing his most credible challenger yet in Peter Magyar of the Tizes party. For God in my beloved Philippines, Carla Abiliana, SMNI News.
China has called for an immediate ceasefire in the Middle East, warning that escalating conflict could plunge the region into chaos and disrupt the global economy. Joy Tabanao tells us more.
China is urging all parties to halt military operations and return to dialogue, stressing that the use of force would only fuel a vicious cycle of violence. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian's remarks come amid rising tensions following reports of a 48-hour ultimatum related to the Strait of Hormuz, a critical road for global energy supplies.
当前中东的战火仍在蔓延外溢。如果战事持续扩大，局势再度升级，整个地区将陷入不可收拾的局面。武力只会导致恶性循环。中方强烈呼吁当事方立即停止军事行动，回归对话谈判，不要让这场本就不该开始的战争再继续下去。
China also warned of broader economic consequences, saying the conflict is already impacting global energy trade and could disrupt agricultural supply chains, including fertilizer shipments.
中东的局势冲击全球的能源贸易安全，有关国家应当立即停止军事行动，防止地区动荡对全球经济发展造成更大影响。关于你提到的具体问题， 建议向中方的主管部门了解。
While declining to comment on specific logistical concerns, Lin said Beijing is maintaining communication with all parties and remains committed to de-escalation efforts. On separate issues, China reiterated that U.S.-Japan relations should contribute to regional stability and not harm the interests of other countries, while confirming ongoing dialogue with India on strengthening bilateral cooperation. As tensions continue to rise, China is positioning itself as a voice for restraint, calling on all sides to avoid further escalation and work toward a diplomatic resolution. This has been Joy Tabanao, your global citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
The Philippine government is keeping a close watch on the deteriorating situation in the Middle East, with hundreds of Filipinos already evacuated from affected areas as tensions continue to escalate. Hannah Jane Sancho has the details.
The Department of Foreign Affairs says its foreign service posts are actively monitoring developments across the region and coordinating repatriation efforts for Filipinos caught in conflict zones. In Iraq, the Civil Aviation Authority has extended its airspace closure for 72 hours, from March 22nd to March 25th, with all Iraqi Airways flights suspended until April 2nd. Iraqi authorities are offering 7-day transit visas to stranded foreign nationals to help them leave safely. Land borders with Turkey, Kuwait, and Jordan remain open. The DFA also confirmed that no Filipinos were harmed in 8 separate attacks targeting a U.S. diplomatic and logistics facility at Baghdad International Airport on March 22nd. In Bahrain, the Philippine Embassy in Manama reported that 89 Filipinos have safely reached Saudi Arabia, 79 of whom are set for full repatriation to the Philippines. 7 will travel in separate flights, and 3 are heading to other Gulf Cooperation Council countries. In the United Arab Emirates, the Philippine Consulate General in Dubai led the repatriation of 50 stranded Filipino tourists on March 18 via a chartered flight organized by the Department of Migrant Workers. The flight carried a total of 317 repatriates, including 153 overseas Filipino workers, 114 dependents, and 50 tourists. The DFA says coordination with Philippine embassies and consulates across the region remains ongoing, with repatriation efforts continuing as the situation develops. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNI News.
Sa panahon ng ingay, sa panahon ng maraming tanong, panahon na para marinig ang katotohanan.
Sa totoo lang, ano ba talaga ang nangyayari sa ating bansa?
At sa totoo lang, handa ba tayong harapin ang katotohanan?
Sa totoo lang,
Dito walang iwasan,
walang paligoy-ligoy.
diretsong usapan.
Sa totoo lang.
Sa SMNI Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Senator Bongo called on the government to immediately suspend the oil excise tax to ease the burden of the Filipinos. This report from Kambilan.
Senator Bongo warned that oil prices could spike further due to rising tensions in the Middle East, which are pushing global oil prices higher. He said if crude hits $100 per barrel, the oil excise tax should be suspended to protect consumers. This senator also pointed out gaps in the fuel subsidy program, noting that some drivers are still missing out due to slow distribution and limited beneficiary release. Go emphasized that rising oil prices trigger a domino effect, impacting fares, food, and other basic goods. He urged the government to prioritize the most vulnerable, particularly public utility drivers, and ensure that public funds are returned to the people without political interference. Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto III confirmed that he has signed Senate Bill No. 1982. The bill grants President Bongbong Marcos emergency powers to suspend or reduce the excise tax on petroleum products. Reporting for Newsline World, Kaivilan, SMNA News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has conducted the official rollout of fuel subsidy distribution for public utility vehicles or PUVs, particularly bus operators, in response to fluctuating global oil prices. Creslin Catarong reports.
In his speech on Tuesday, March 24, 2026, the president said operators nationwide will receive a 10,000 pesos subsidy per bus unit, covering not only Metro Manila but all regions across the country. According to Marcos, the program aims to mitigate the impact of rising fuel costs on fares and ease the burden on commuters. The president also explained that the subsidy distribution system will be flexible. Beneficiaries may receive the subsidy through digital payments, ATM cards, checks, or cash. However, he encouraged operators to use digital methods, noting that they are faster and more practical. A briefing was also conducted with the Department of Transportation to ensure the smooth implementation of the program. The president said the government will continue to monitor the system and remains open to suggestions for further improvement. He emphasized the importance of cooperation among the government, operators, and drivers to ensure efficient public transportation. Marcos assured that the program will continue for as long as necessary, especially as global oil prices remain volatile. The fuel subsidy is part of the government's broader efforts to support the transport sector and protect the welfare of the riding public. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Karsaling Katarong, SMNI News.
A consumer watchdog is warning residents in island provinces to brace for steeper electricity bills as the ongoing Middle East conflict continues to drive up oil prices and strain the country's power supply. MJ Mondiha reports.
Sir, dito sa Metro Manila may nabasa akong news update quoting Nasicor na nasa 2 pesos to 4 pesos per kilowatt hour daw yung tansya na increase sa power rates ngayon pong buwan ng Abril. Anong update po, sir, ng Nasicor dyan?
Yan ay pronouncement ng Energy Regulatory Commission. Summer month kicks in. Pagpasok na, alam naman natin kahit walang oil crisis, pagdating na ng summer months, nagkakaroon ng yellow alert.
The Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, has projected an increase in electricity rates of 2 to 4 pesos per kilowatt hour this April. This expected rate hike comes as the ongoing war in the Middle East affects the country's oil supply and pricing. According to Nasicor, or the National Association of Electricity Consumers for Reforms, a consumer watch group, electricity rates here in Metro Manila typically rise during the summer season.
Sapagkat may mga planta na kahit hindi naka-schedule ang maintenance dahil mga luma na, ito ay bumibigay. So nababawasan yung supply natin. Kapag nabawasan ng supply, maaring mag-brown out.
However, Pete Ilagan warns residents in island provinces to prepare as electricity prices are expected to rise even further.
Ang tatamaan talaga nitong oil crisis na mga lugar ay yung off-grid, yung nasa mga isla. Sapagkat ang mga planta niyan halos lahat ay diesel. Kaya kahit na walang oil crisis, mataas na talaga ang presyo ng kuryente dyan.
If the projected increase of 4 peso per kilowatt hour pushes through, this would mean an additional 800 pesos in the monthly electricity bill of consumers using 200 kilowatt hours.
Katulad ng Oriental Mindoro, Occidental Mindoro, yung mga Masbate, mga Romblon, lahat yan sinusubsidize natin dahil hindi sila nakakonekta sa main grid.
The government, meanwhile, is exploring the use of Malampayan natural gas as an additional energy source to cushion the impact of rising oil costs.
Ongoing ang pakikipag-usap natin sa mga ibang bansa gaya ng India para sa additional oil supply. Ongoing din ang trade talks ng Pilipinas sa Japan, China, Thailand, Brunei at South Korea para sa mga posibleng supply arrangement.
Over the weekend, presidential spokesperson Undersecretary Claire Castro maintained that there is no oil crisis here in the Philippines, despite the sharp increase in oil prices caused by the Middle East conflict. However, she issued a clarification.
Ang nais pong sabihin ng Pangulo patungkol sa oil crisis, pinapatungkulan niya po doon ay ang oil crisis sa Middle East. Pero sa ngayon po, sa atin at sa payo na rin po ng Secretary Garin sa ating Pangulo, wala pa po tayo maaaring tawaging oil crisis sa bansa.
Hindi maganda sa pandinig na yung binabayaran mo ng iyong taxes sasabihin na walang krisis.
That position drew sharp criticism from political strategist Professor Malutikia, saying it is inappropriate to say that there's no oil crisis. She stresses that the government appears insensitive to the real situation of the public, who are already burdened by high fuel prices.
Siguro siya, marami siyang pera, yun nga in the colloquial, no, paldo-paldo siguro ang kanyang pera, kaya hindi niya nararamdaman. Pero ang ordinaryong tao, nararamdaman yan.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz to countries not allied with Iran is already affecting the Philippines' oil purchases from the Middle East. Should the U.S.-Israel campaign against Iran continue, experts warn the energy crunch will deepen, not only across Asia, but worldwide. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihap, SMNA News.
Online gaming platforms feared to pose a threat to the safety of the youth are set to be investigated in the Senate. Angel Pastor reports.
Concerns over the safety of young people are growing due to the rise of online games. This follows reports that some minors in Calabarzon allegedly planned a school attack after being exposed to content in an online game. Because of this, Roblox and other online gaming platforms are set to be investigated in the Senate as they are seen as potential threats to minors. Under Senate Resolution number 357, the proposal aims to review games such as Minecraft, Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Free Fire. In these games, users can communicate and interact even without clearly verifying their age or identity. As a result, stricter age verification measures have been proposed in the Senate to protect children from violence, sexual abuse, and online deception or grooming. In the Philippines, age verification is often limited to self-declaration. Because of this, minors are more exposed to online risks. The resolution also emphasizes the need for clearer laws and regulations. It aims to strengthen digital literacy and promote responsible use of online games. It also seeks to address the effects of excessive gaming on the mental health of the youth. In line with this, the Philippine National Police has directed its anti-cybercrime group to intensify its campaign for the safety of children online. Meanwhile, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, or CICC, said it is studying the possibility of a nationwide ban on Roblox. The company was reportedly given 1 month to address reports that platform is being used by alleged pedophiles and drug traffickers as a hunting ground for minors. The CICC also warned that it may direct internet service providers and telecommunication companies to block access to the game's servers. These may also include the possible removal of the game from the Google Play Store and Apple App Store if the company fails to comply. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Pagod? Nanunuyo ang lalamunan? O baka naman nahihirapan kang mag-focus sa ginagawa? Kapartner, baka naman dehydrated ka na. Ang katawan natin ay binubuo ng halos 60% hanggang 70% na tubig. Kung walang sapat na hydration, parang sasakyang walang gasolina ang ating katawan, hindi makakaarangkada. Bakit nga ba mahalaga ang tamang hydration? Hindi lamang ito pamatid uhaw dahil nakatutulong rin ito sa pagdaloy ng sustansya sa katawan, pagpapanatili ng tamang body temperature at pagpapakinis ng kutis. Kaya't huwag nang hintayin pang mauhaw ka bago uminom. Ang pagkauhaw ay babala na ng iyong katawan na ikaw ay dehydrated na. Ang standard na payo ng mga doktor ay 8 baso ng tubig ang dapat inumin bawat araw. Pero tandaan, depende ito sa iyong timbang, edad at kung gaano ka ka-active. Samantala, narito ang ilang gabay para manatiling hydrated. Simula ng araw sa isang basong tubig, magbaon ng sariling tumbler para siguradong may maiinom saan man magpunta. At hanggat maaari, piliin ang tubig kaysa mga matatamis na inumin. Kaya mga kapartner, manatiling hydrated para makaiwas sa mas malalang sakit at upang maalagaan ang iyong kalusugan.
In a delightfully bizarre twist on record-breaking, an Australian man has gone viral after setting a world record by stuffing balloons up his nose. Stella Maris has the full story.
With a mix of courage, creativity, and a good sense of humor, Malte Danza, the self-proclaimed king of the freaks, who have thousands of Instagram followers for his unusual stunts, also took on the unusual challenge in front of an amused audience. One by one, balloons were carefully inserted, turning a simple party item into the centerpiece of a truly unforgettable performance. The stunt quickly caught fire online, with viewers around the world sharing laughs and marveling at the sheer absurdity of it all. While most world records focus on strength, speed, or endurance, this one stands out for its pure entertainment value and his willingness to embrace the weird. Fans praise the attempt as a reminder not all achievements have to be serious. In fact, sometimes the most memorable moments come from people who aren't afraid to be a little ridiculous. Of course, experts still advise leaving such antics to the professionals. But for now, Monty Danza's light-hearted record has earned its place in the spotlight, bringing amusement and a beat of balloon-powered joy to audiences everywhere. This has been Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Sebastian Korda delivered a major upset at the Miami Open after eliminating world number 1 Carlos Alcazar to advance to the next round. Meanwhile, in NBA, Eric Spoelstra commended De'Aaron Fox ahead of the matchup between the Miami Heat and San Antonio Spurs in the National Basketball Association. Carlo De La Peña tells us more.
In the third-round clash at the Miami tournament, Korda, ranked 36th in the world, secured the biggest win of his career and his first victory over world number 1. The defeat also marked another early exit in Miami for Alcaraz, who was knocked out in the second round last year by David Goffin. Korda nearly finished the match in the second set when he served for victory at 5-4, but Alcaraz broke at love and went on to win 2 straight games to force a deciding third set. The Spaniard briefly grabbed momentum after claiming 5 consecutive games. However, Korda regained control in the final set, breaking Alcaraz for a 4-3 lead after the top seed sent a forehand wide. The American then held serve confidently and sealed the win on his second chance to serve for the match. Korda will next face Russian Karen Khachanov 6-3, 7-6, 7-2. In the women's draw, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka kept her title defense alive with a 6-4, 6-2 victory over American Katie McNally. Meanwhile, world number 2 Elena Rybakina advanced to the round of 16 after defeating Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk 6-3, 6-4 and will next face Australian qualifier Talia Gibson. Meanwhile, before their regular season meeting, the Heat coach highlighted Fox's willingness to adjust his game for the team since joining San Antonio. The Spurs entered the contest aiming for their 6th straight victory as they continued their push for the top seed in the Western Conference. Spoelstra noted that while Fox's scoring average has dipped, the All-Star guard has embraced a more team-oriented role. Fox previously averaged more than 20 points per game during his time with the Sacramento Kings, but is now posting around 19 points per contest with San Antonio. The 27-year-old guard is also averaging 14.7 field goal attempts per game this season, his lowest since the 2018-19 campaign. Despite the lower numbers, the Spurs system featuring Fox and star center Victor Wembanyama has proven effective. San Antonio currently holds one of the league's best records and will face the Memphis Grizzlies next, while Miami is set to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers in its upcoming road game. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
Korean director Nam Ki-hoon is set to lead a new film project in collaboration with international producers, marking another major step in cross-border production efforts. Meanwhile, actress Denise Richards has gone viral after unveiling the results of her recent facelift in a joint social media post with her plastic surgeon. Andrea Santos has all the buzz.
The film will be produced by local outfit Trifecta Brand Lab alongside Korean producer Il Lee, according to announcements made during a press conference last week. Producer Tristan Cheng confirmed the collaboration, highlighting the team's goal of bringing together creative talent from across the region. Nam Ki-hoon is known for directing several successful series, including Kiss Sixth Sense in 2022, Big Bet in 2022, and Confidence Queen in 2025. The upcoming project is expected to generate interest as it brings together established names in the industry, signaling continued growth in international film partnerships. Denise Richards' post quickly gained attention online, with many users expressing surprise at her noticeably youthful appearance. Some even compared her after look to her early 2000s image, saying she appears to have time traveled back to that era. Fans also pointed to her appearance in the film Scary Movie 3, noting similarities between her current look and her role in the movie. The reveal has sparked conversations about cosmetic procedures and the growing trend of celebrities openly sharing their aesthetic transformations. And that's all for now. I'm Andrea Santos, bringing you the latest show buzz.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the song. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Prince Tripoli. Thank you for watching and goodbye.